Washington and the Kingdom. This is the U.S. Hot Rod Association Triple Crown of Motorsports. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman, and with me to call the action, Margot King. We can talk about the monster trucks. We're talking about the Triple Crown. 3 different types of competition tonight for the trucks and the monster tanks. We've got side-by-side car crunching action. Then we've got a giant leap contest where they leap 30, 40, 50 feet in the air. And when you got a 10-ton monster truck landing, it's about a 7 on the Richter scale. And then the final for the first time in Seattle, the monster trucks will draw the sled, will pull the sled. And Marco also side-by-side mud bog competition.
And on the West Coast, the mud bog racers throw away those DOD tires, put on the paddles in the scoops and sling some mud.
Gonna be wild, so don't go away. There won't be any rain inside the Kingdom, but plenty of mud. We'll be right back with all the action. Welcome back to the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Association Triple Crown of Motorsports from the Seattle Kingdom. And first up, side-by-side mud bog elimination. The Stroker, an extended wheelbase Chevy pickup with a big 454 Chevy engine. Going up against
the Sand Savage, driven by Dorothy Cheech out of Victoria, British Columbia. This young lady's 28 years old, already has 5 years experience driving these mud vehicles. And she's going to need that experience to keep that 1986 CJ5 on the racetrack. There's a shot of her. Give us a smile. There you go.
She's pretty. Okay, lining them up. The Stroker against the Sand Savage. And there they go. And again, they are running against each other, not against the clock. And look at Dorothy Cheech fly through those tracks.
That lady meant business.
A beautiful run. That's a fiberglass-bodied CJ5, the big Chrysler engine. And she is happy, Margot.
Had no problem keeping that 2,800 pounds on the racetrack and way ahead of the competition.
Let's take a look back in slow motion. This is the Stroker. Off the line, a little squirrely, Margot King.
He didn't get that planing he needed right off the starting gate. Then those flames coming out of the exhaust pipes, not a good sign.
Let's take a look back at the Sand Savage, Dorothy Cheech. Again, it's a fresh track. There's been no grooves laid down on this side yet. 324, the clocking, and she flies through the tracks. Coming up again. Coming up next, it'll be Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran, out of Renton, Washington. He's been driving for 6 years. It's a CJ7, a funny car with a Chevy 351 cubic inch engine going up against.
And here comes the Mud Buster, driven by Ron Holt. Now, don't think this is the Datsun. Just on the outside, underneath, we've got a powerhouse of a Chevy 472 Big Block.
Woo! That's a lot of horsepower. Look at those monster tires.
900 horsepower to be exact.
Most of these machines are running nitrous oxide alcohol, putting out over 1,000 horsepower, ladies and gentlemen.
And there's a brave cameraman view of the track.
They move up to stage. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Renton, Virginia. Renton, Washington, rather. The yellow machine on the far lane. They're staging. The Mud Buster near us. The track crew says we're ready to go, and let's get racing. And Jumpin' Jack Flash lives up to its name, jumps off the line and through the clocks first. A beautiful run by Bob Moran of Renton, Washington.
Leaving a smoldering 1970 Datsun in the mud.
We might point out they don't use radiators because they're not running that long, just 3 to 4 seconds. There's Jumpin' Jack Flash. 3.12 seconds. That's incredible.
Already they're playing havoc with the grooves in that track. These paddles definitely lay out some tracks.
Yes, they do. They really dig it up. Take a look at the overhead. Slow motion run. Jumpin' Jack Flash on the left. The Mud Buster on the right. And that's the difference between first and second. Again, another machine getting sideways at the beginning, and that costs precious time. 5.10 seconds. A long, long time to get to that 200 feet.
Still throwing up a lot of mud, though. Looks good.
Yep. It looks good, but he took an awful lot of time to get through it. Over 1,100 horsepower. And they are towing out the Mud Buster. Did not make it all the way through. 200 feet long, and the track, we might point out, is about 2 feet deep at the beginning and up to 4 or 5 feet deep at the end.
And about 20,000 gallons worth of water in each track. And here comes the Eagle's Nest, the nest for the next lineup, driven by Jim Kimball out of Kent, Washington. He's 44 years old and owns his very own Hydro-Pacific truck wash. Boy, that'll come in handy after this event.
Going up against Deja Vu, this is Ken Jobin of Auburn, Michigan, 35 years old. He's a machinist, has been racing 2 years professionally. That's Deja Vu in the far track, and we're ready to go. Neck and neck, and it is Deja Vu. I think I've seen this before, going all the way through the clocks. And a nice run, but remember, they are drag racing side by side, Margo, for the first time on television.
And you can see that these drivers aren't necessarily prepared for the expertise, that perfection that it takes in a drag racing situation. I think Eagle's Deja Vu actually loaded his motor up at the starting gate. You saw all that exhaust flying out.
Got kind of a slow start, then caught up and passed the midpoint. 3.12 seconds for Deja Vu. 68 Chevy CJ5. Let's take a look at the competition.
The Eagle's Nest got not a bad time for he got initially good start, but then just did not have either his vehicle's not set up properly, or his power plant isn't giving him the drive he needs to really make a good clean run of this, and suffered from it.
So the Eagle's Nest falls to Deja Vu. Let's take another look at from the overhead camera. Again, Deja Vu on the right gets off the line first, but I'm sorry, Eagle's Nest on the right gets off the line first, then Deja Vu comes through. Coming up next, beautiful machine, the CJ5 of Steve Loesch. That's the name of it, CJ5, out of Kent, Washington, just down the freeway. And look at this machine, Margo.
Delirious, and I think they were delirious when they put this thing together. But look, in the driver's seat, we've got Cher Shogren, unusual name. She's 32 years old, out of Auburn, Washington. She's a dental assistant, another female in the ranks here.
So far, the CJ5s, the CJ6s, and 7s have dominated this competition at the Seattle Kingdom. Let's take a look now and see what's... oh, look at that tire. See what happens here. Whoa, and yes, again, the CJ comes through. And something happened to Delirious. It just slowed and stopped in the middle of the track.
Now, at this point, you've got to wonder if Cher's husband is taking any of the guilt, because he's one of the main wrenches on this vehicle, and she was having a good race till about mid-track. Maybe we can determine what turned that around.
Let's take a look at CJ5. This is the winner. Gets off the line slower, but gets through with 3.23 seconds. That's a good clocking for any of these vehicles here tonight. Now let's look at Delirious. Margo, what do you see happening?
Well, she's certainly not aggressive off the starting gate, but then it just looks like there's a lot of smoke coming out. Maybe I think her power plant just sort of gave up the fight on her right there. And once you lose your momentum in that mud, it doesn't matter if you've got paddles and scoops. You need some horsepower.
I don't want to say it, Steve. I just think I saw a German soldier stick his head up over there. I'm not sure. Okay, CJ5 on the left, both the name of the machine and the description. And on the right, Delirious, slowing way down and then suddenly recovering and coming across the line, but way, way back in second place. Big crowd here at the Seattle Kingdom, and we'll be back with more exciting racing. Coming up, more side-by-side mud bog drag racing. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Triple Crown of Motorsports. I'm Larry Huffman with Margo King. We're back with more of the first round of mud bog eliminations. And coming up first,
it's the Bog Hog, and you can bet that when Keith first saw his truck in that farmer's field, it didn't look like this. I think he traded it for like a bucket of apples or something, and he turned it into quite a showpiece there. It's got a 350 small block engine on it. We'll see how it does tonight.
Going up against Bandit 2, Dion Anderson of Pablo, Montana. It's a short and heavy wheelbase machine. He's using paddle tires all around to hook up better. Gives him more stability, but it tends to throw him around more when he's actually running. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. He's got a Chevy small block, a home-built Random Craft custom machine.
And you can see the starter down there making sure that they get a fair start. This is side-by-side drag racing. We are keeping the clock running, but these trucks are racing against each other.
The far lane, Bandit 2, the near lane, Bog Hog. And here we go. And look at this. The Bog Hog bogs down, and Bandit 2 flies all the way through the 200 feet. What happened?
Looks like he needs to work on his truck a little bit more before the next race.
Taking a look at it, this is the Pablo, Montana machine, Bandit 2. A strange-looking mud bogger, but he certainly has got the power to get through that 200 feet. Getting off the line, this is the Bog Hog, and he digs in quite a lot, Mark. A very, very heavy car.
Slings a lot of mud, but then we get some sparks and smoke, and then there's not a whole lot of movement after that.
Taking a look at it from an overhead camera, you can see the Bog Hog on the right just stops completely there, and the Bandit 2 flies all the way through. Nice run, no problems whatsoever, but he is stuck in the mud.
And if you don't make it through this first round, Keith loads her back up on the truck, takes it back to the garage.
That's right, it's all over because they're going against each other the first round of eliminations to go to the second round and all the money. And he is stuck. They're hooking up to pull him out.
And he's reliving the race.
38 feet, he overwhelmed the crowd. I think the crowd is underwhelmed, actually, at this point. There you go. Coming up next, the next round of the next set of cars, the first round of eliminations. That is Idle Threat, Derek Wood of Langley, British Columbia. And they are serious up there in BC. They got a number of mud boggers in Canada. 454 Chevy engine. Custom fiberglass body. Derek Wood, Langley, BC, has been driving for 7 years. Weighing at 1,900 pounds, paddles front and rear. Looks like as it is, a funny car, a mud bog funny car. He's going up against
the Mighty Rat, driven by Mike Morrison. Now, he's, during the day, normally a diesel mechanic, but that won't help him on this 1975 Ford F-250 Chevy with a 396 big block.
Which weighs double the Idle Threat weight, 3,500 pounds to 1,900 pounds. Almost double. Boy, that's a lot of weight to give away. And they're launching off the line, the Idle Threat of Langley, BC, against the competition. And it looks like from here, well, it looks like Idle Threat has made it through first. Let's check the clocks and get another look at it. Overhead, the Idle Threat on the right, the Mighty Rat on the left.
Both of these vehicles playing victim to the tracks already dug into this track.
The Idle Threat comes through. That's no Idle Threat. There's a launch again. The big machine, 3,500 pounds, a big Ford pickup. You've got to have the power to get on top of the mud and stay there. 3.78 seconds in second. Mighty Rat.
And his paddle choice front, on the front, he's got paddles, on the rear, Super Scoop.
And this has got running paddles front and rear, the Idle Threat. Fiberglass body weighing under 2,000 pounds, 1,900 pounds, and a lot of power in that big Chevy 454 engine. Running nitrous alcohol, 1,300 horsepower.
And even though he took the long way around, it looked like he got there first.
Going to the next set in the first round of competition. Let's check them out. Big Daddy's Toy 2 from Kent, Washington. 35 years old, Harold Shamlin, the driver. And he's looking serious coming up there on the line.
No face shield. He's real serious.
That's deranged Mark Morosi. Let's check him out. Margot?
He's out of Surrey, British Columbia. He's 27 years old, a tow truck driver.
Now, Big Daddy's Toy, the driver reversed the front and rear wheels to see if it helped him to steer better with the long wheelbase of this vehicle. Wheelbase 12 feet 9 inches. It's longer than just about everybody else out here. Molly tube, a Econo-Rail frame, fiberglass body, and putting out an enormous amount of horsepower.
Technically, these two vehicles are pretty well matched, both weight and horsepower-wise.
The range gets off the line first, but slows in the middle, and it is Big Daddy's Toy all the way through without any problem. There's another Big Daddy, and pointing out to his little girl a night she won't forget. That's deranged. He's not too happy. He knows he lost.
Deranged, a little depressed.
Yep, got off the line first, then slowed down. Let's take a look at it. This is deranged. Getting off the line first, 3.59 seconds, and then the right in the middle, again, seems to slow ever so slightly. Well, it gets sideways a little bit there before you hit the finish line. The extended wheelbase, and I mean really extended wheelbase, 12 feet 9 inches of Big Daddy's Toy 2.
And you can tell his powerhouse never gave up one instant. It just plowed through that bog.
No question about that. He went right through it. 337. Again, let's take another look at it. Slow motion, that's right there where he loses, and Big Daddy's Toy comes out on top. And the crowd loves it. Stay tuned for the first of 3 rounds of Monster Truck Competition and the Funny Car Showdown. Welcome back to the Seattle Kingdom of the Ford Budweiser Triple Crown of Motorsports, and now, what a lot of people turned out for, the Funny Car Pull. And coming up first, the Heart Attack. Margot?
Driven by Bob Hart, he's got a Keith Black powerhouse underneath the hood of his 1987 Corvette body.
But it's a funny car. It will not be doing 280 miles an hour. Instead, it'll be doing probably 10 or 12 miles an hour, if that, because he's going to attempt to pull a 50,000-pound sled.
Whoa. Teeny chain they're hooking onto that.
That's a monster chain, isn't it? Now, that's an actual funny car.
with about 3,000 extra pounds of weight to weight it down so it's able to pull that giant sled.
Where do you practice this?
I don't know, I'm telling you. But if you look sharp, you can see the weights, the excess weights he's got underneath, right underneath the attacked word on the side of the car. It's a Corvette funny car. Bob Hart, Heart Attack, Nashua, New Hampshire. He's going to attempt to pull it all the way through. Let's see what happens. There are the weights.
I'd say this is going to put that Keith Black motor to a definite stress test.
It weighs about 6,200 pounds. There's the start. On dirt, pulling the sled, and the sled will be moving up, putting more weight on the front, making it harder and harder to pull. 25 tons. And look at this, a wheelie. Whoa. And getting off the track, and that's it. He's disqualified, or stopped. I should say stopped at that point.
Not happy with that pull.
Well, I can't figure out there. They're burning off some excess alcohol. And singeing some weeds also, I might say. The Heart Attack funny car. Let's see, under 150 feet. Another look at it. 131 feet and 2 inches for the Heart Attack. 6,200-pound funny car.
For a pull, he needed to make 250 feet.
Coming up next, the Virginian.
Driven by Dale Wilson out of Winchester, Virginia. He had a small trip to get here. Dale's 36 years old, and he owns his own JR Auto Body Shop. He's been doing this for 13 years.
Interesting point. He's running Dick Seepeck Giant Puller tires. They're on the back, on the left-hand side of your screen, the rear tires. Dick Seepeck Giant Puller tires.
Dale not only drives a funny car puller, he also has his very own monster truck, and we'll see him drive that a little later on. 1,800 horsepower, 6,200 pounds. About the uniform weight for these funny cars. A normal funny car, you'd see at a drag strip, but the other type of funny car would weigh in at around 2,000 pounds. I love a man who can appreciate neat toys.
Dale Wilson, Winchester, Virginia, 36 years old. It's called the Virginian. And he's got to beat a little over 131 feet. Let's see if he can go for a full pull.
Henkel Harris, by the way, is a furniture manufacturer, not a very usual type of sponsor for this kind of car.
Right. $80,000, the value of the Virginian.
And looks like it's worth every penny.
A funny car, a pulling funny car. Here's the launch. Wheels start to spin. That can be dangerous, Margo, because that sometimes will slow your way up.
The finesse getting off the launching pad is critical in pulling.
Got a good run. The front wheel's up in the air, but he's all the way through and got a full pull.
And then some.
So the Virginian brings the crowd to its feet here at the Kingdome and wins the first round of funny car competition. Another look at it. A full pull for the Virginian.
Really get a great shot of that beautiful paint job on that car.
$80,000 worth of funny car. Now getting some speed up there. Front wheels bouncing up on the ground, up and down, and he gets all the way through and shuts it down to save the motor. And now we go to the monster truck pull. And coming up first, this is hot stuff out of Yakima, Washington. Jeff Boehner, who's 25 years old and had to sell everything he owned to buy this machine. Here's the pull.
He makes it look so easy.
86 Jeep CJ7, 427 supercharged engine, 600 horsepower. And makes it all the way through. We might point out, Margo, they're not pulling 50,000 pounds. They dropped it down a little bit for the monster trucks.
And we're going for times in these.
Yep, that's right. Barefoot Fred Schaefer, one of the most famous monster trucks of all, comes up now, and let's see what the Barefoot machine can do. It is Chevy power, and look at him fly down that dirt ramp. Barefoot, a neat run there. No problems at all. Not much slippage. And coming up now, the Virginia Giant. And the times have just got the hot stuff at 10:22, Barefoot 8.15. Let's see what the Virginia Giant can do. Good launch. Bill Henkel out of Winchester, Virginia. Dale Wilson, his partner. I think Dale's doing the driving all the way through. And let's see what he got for the time. He's got an 8.18 second time. That's 3/100ths of a second slower than Barefoot. So Barefoot takes home the bacon. And now, probably the most famous monster truck of all, Bigfoot, out of St. Louis, Missouri. Jim Kramer, the driver. Margo, you won't find a sharper driver around. Kramer knows his stuff.
He's like the original Bigfoot driver. Been around for a while.
He's got to beat his old nemesis, Barefoot, 8.15 seconds. see what Bigfoot can do. $100,000 Ford truck. The original. Doing something he doesn't normally do, pull a sled. Off the line slowly, but he's got that power to the ground, no wheel spin whatsoever. Bigfoot looks pretty good. Let's see what he's... In fact, I'd say he's got an excellent time. Bigfoot through the traps. And here it is, 10:22 for Hot Stuff, Barefoot 8:15, Virginia Giant 8:18, and Bigfoot a sizzling 8:06. So Bigfoot wins round one. And we'll be back, don't go away, with more monster truck action in side-by-side obstacle course competition. And if you've not seen this before, it's going to blow you away. We'll be right back, don't go away. A Triple Crown of Motorsports, sponsored in part by Goodyear Wranglers. You either have Goodyear Wranglers or you need them. And coming up now, Margot King, the crisscross car-crushing monster trucks. And that's Barefoot, Fred Schaefer.
Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Crisscross. Does that mean like fender bender material?
It could definitely be dangerous. Bigfoot coming up first against Barefoot, two of the most famous monster trucks in the world. They will each crush this set of cars, crisscross across the track, and then crush the other set of cars. The first one through the finish line, through the traps, is the winner. Barefoot to the closest machine to us, the far side, that is Bigfoot.
About the only way you can tell is the American flag and the Chevy flag on Barefoot, and the Ford flag flies alone on Bigfoot.
They're both about the same color. Look at this. Bigfoot getting way up there. Look at that. Barefoot almost going over on his left side. Look at this. Whoa, Nelly. Now, Bigfoot waits for Barefoot. He doesn't want to run into him.
I'm not taking any chances. Old animosity's popping out.
Right. Jim Kramer, the driver of Bigfoot. There's Barefoot. Fred Schaefer. There's Bigfoot this side. Almost goes on his side, but gets through the cars first. There's Barefoot. And the glass flies. So Jim Kramer, the personable young driver of Bigfoot, takes home the bacon in the first round here. That's his mechanic underneath, checking out underneath. That machine takes an awful lot of abuse going over those cars, Margot.
Looks like he's actually holding on to one of the stabilizing bars underneath that truck.
There's again, that's Bigfoot. Look at that, completely up in the air. Looks like a overweight Blue Angel.
And that Blue Angel right there is where he maintained his drive and beat the Chevy off the crushed cars.
Yep, he was first through the cars. There is Barefoot, Fred Schaefer. Now let's see what happens. Margaret looks like he almost goes over on his side.
Now at that point he's even, but this is where the way this truck is built comes through. It's taller than Bigfoot. It was originally built as a show truck. This competition in trying to go fast crushing cars has really put this truck at a disadvantage.
Exactly, and you've got to remember these trucks are virtually hand-built. They are assembled by hand, and there are literally thousands and thousands of pieces that can go wrong. Look at that, almost over on his side. That's got to scare the dickens out of that driver.
Tall truck, a lot of suspension. He does what we call pogoing, and caused him in trouble.
Let's go to the next round. This is Hot Stuff, and going up against the Virginia Giant. The Virginia Giant, Deal Wilson, the driver. This is a beautiful machine, again.
Another beautiful machine that Deal keeps in his garage. You can see that's his disc brake there in the middle. They're spinning. That's to keep the weight down. If you had to put disc brakes on each of those huge tires, it'd run up to a lot of weight and money.
Hot Stuff, the near lane, and on the other side, the Virginia Giant, far lane. We're ready to go. Hot Stuff, an 86 Jeep CJ7 427 supercharged engine, putting out about 600 horsepower. About 1,000 pounds lighter than the Virginia Giant. Virginia Giant through the cars, no problem at all. There goes Hot Stuff. Jeff Boehner out of Yakima. Boehner gets through a little bit faster. Short wheelbase can turn real fast. Boehner sets up for the cars. The Hot Stuff machine on the far, but here comes the Virginia Giant. Hits the cars first and just flies right through them. Drops off there at the end, but gets through, and it is the Virginia Giant.
13 years of racing finesse, one out.
A tough break for Hot Stuff. Boehner was faster between the cars, but then seemed to slow down once he hit those cars. $100,000 Corvette Flame Red Hot Stuff there on the right. The Virginia Giant out of Winchester, Virginia. There's a good shot at him.
No expense was spared on that truck, and the way it handles and the way it stays together, you can tell he built a mean truck.
Let's take a look here now and watch what happens with Hot Stuff. The Jeep, one of the few Jeep monster trucks or monster cars in existence, gets completely up in the air and then drops back down. Weighs almost 7 tons. And that's... They can feel that in Japan when he lands. Four-wheel steering. There, the Virginia Giant.
Great shot of his blue light behind his front bumper there. A beautiful truck.
Yeah, you've got to remember now, the other cars have been crushed by the two previous monster trucks, so it's a little easier to get through them. Virginia Giant takes home the bacon.
He's real proud of those aluminum wheels that we're going to get a quick shot of there.
It's a beautiful machine, and again, as we said, virtually hand-built, front and rear steering. They can get up to around 55, 60 miles an hour on the freeway, but they don't do that very often. They're built more for low-end grunt, tremendous amount of torque. Okay, lining up now, and this is round-robin competition, and we go up now against Bigfoot. Bigfoot against the Virginia Giant. This is going to be interesting, Margot King.
Now, it's interesting the fact that these monster trucks are battling each other at this stage of the competition. The main goal, to have a chance to compete against the Bear Track, the tank truck that we haven't seen yet.
Right, we had a shot of it earlier. We're going to see a lot more of it later. If you've never seen it, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, because it will flat blow you away. There's Bigfoot, the most famous monster truck of them all. Bob and Marilyn Chandler out of St. Louis, Missouri, built their first one back in the early 70s. And they've become millionaires because of their trucks.
They've come a long way to the truck we've got now. It's a 1988 Ford F-250 with a 460 blown with two Predator carburetors sitting up top.
This is Virginia Giant on this side, the near lane, and on the far side, the Bigfoot machine. Jim Kramer doing the driving. Kramer, a very, very professional and experienced driver, and Kramer puts the power to the ground, comes back around through the mud, up on the cars, and it is Bigfoot in control at this point, Margot.
And technically, Bigfoot had the shorter route, and because they don't make two laps, that definitely helped him win this event.
So, Bigfoot takes on and takes the bacon over the Virginia Giant. So, Bigfoot has won the first two events here in the Seattle Kingdom. In serving notice, he is the truck to beat tonight. And the crowd loves him. You gotta say, there's Kramer waving to the crowd. Another look. This is Bigfoot. Look at Kramer looking out the side. He can't see through the windshield because it's up too far. It almost goes over. Margot, the trucks are having a problem. They're almost going off the side and flipping.
Well, it depends on how the cars were originally crushed, because just like in the Mud Bog event, you can actually get a track pushed into those cars.
Yep. Another look at Bigfoot. Look at him turn those American sedans into junk. Instant junk. Wheel spinning, front and rear wheel drive. Another look at the Virginia Giant.
And when the drivers hit those cars hard, they get a lot of air, great for the crowd, but sometimes they sacrifice their line through the cars there.
That's right, and also sacrificing parts on the machines. Look at that wild and crazy ride. And Kramer takes it home. Beautiful. What a wild E-coupon ride in that machine. That's wild and crazy. So, Bigfoot comes out on top. And coming up, ladies and gentlemen, the second round of Down and Dirty Mud Bog Action. Don't you dare go away. Back to the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Triple Crown of Motorsports. I'm Larry Huffman with Margot King. And coming up now, the second round of Down and Dirty Mud Bog Action. This is Captain America, Mike Wilkes. He won the first round by default when the other machine he went up against failed to start. So Captain America coming out for the first time actually running, going up against the beautiful young lady from British Columbia, Sand Savage, driven by Dorothy Cheech. And you can tell Captain America's never run before, right, Margo? Look at that. He's clean.
He is. Doesn't need to be wiped off.
No, not at all. The lady, the inside lane, and Captain America on the far lane. Second round now. They're going for some points toward the finale right now. There we go. And there's Captain America launching off beautifully. Gets through it all the way, no problems whatsoever. By about a car length, Captain America takes it home.
That Keith Black motor of his put the power to the top of the mud, and it disappointed Dorothy right there.
Right, that engine on the Captain America, 1,500 horsepower blown and injected. Look at him put the power to the mud as a flagman scrambles off the track. I want you on the front of that machine, Captain America. He got her, I'll tell you. Here's Dorothy.
A great job of driving. Those ruts were playing havoc with throwing her machine from one side of the pit to the other, but she keeps it between the starting gate poles. That's real important. Knock one of those down and then you're out.
Very difficult, too. Let's take another look at it. Again, Captain America, look at the spew of mud. He's throwing up 30, 40 feet in the air. And about a car length distance there at the end. Coming up next, Deja Vu. Ken Jobin, the driver, had an easy time in the first round. Let's see what he can do now. Deja Vu will go up against Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran. He's out of Renton, Washington. That's Jumpin' Jack Flash on the inside, the far side, Deja Vu.
CJ7 against CJ7.
Jumping Jack Flash launches off the line, gets a little bit better bite coming out of it, very even so far, and he gets through. Look out! Oh, Deja Vu takes off the finish line pole and finds himself facing backwards as he flipped. I hope we got a shot of that pole going, because he turned into instant kindling.
All poles should go away that easy.
Oh, I'm telling you, he said, yeah, I'm okay. Now watch him now. This is Deja Vu. He loses control in about the last 10 feet. Look at the finish line pole on the left of your screen. Gets over sideways and rips it down. He ducks his head instinctively and spins around, and he's stopped. Jumping Jack Flash gets off the line a little bit clearer, a little cleaner. Rocking and rolling through the mud, but controlling the power. Now gets sideways, but makes it through.
There's a regular chicane in the middle of that particular lane.
One more time. Watch the car on the left. He has problems earlier. I said the last part, but he gets right there toward the start, gets a little crossed up, and takes that pole right out.
Had the makings of a great race.
Well, coming up next, the Bandit 2, Dion Anderson. Another Jeep going up against CJ5, Steve Loesch. Loesch out of Kent, Washington. Bandit 2 out of Montana. That's Bandit 2, and there's the launch, and Bandit 2 gets off first. CJ5 is left at the gate. Again, if you go take that pole out, you're disqualified. CJ5 did not have the power, Margot, it didn't look like.
These drivers need their kidney belts on for this second round, because that track has just been torn up with these paddle tires.
Those wings on top are not for speed or stability. They're in case the car goes on its head, and it will protect the driver's head from going into the mud and suffocating. That's what that wing is for on top. That's Bandit 2. Getting sideways, but still making it through without any problem at all. And there's CJ5. The name and the nomenclature of that machine. That's how we used to say it in the Army.
I guess when you just can't think of a name, you read it off the side of the car.
One more look. Watch the car on the left. He gets really squirrely. Bandit 2. Almost takes out that pole. Ooh, just misses it. It gets through the traps first. Now, coming up next, interesting lineup of cars. Big Daddy's Toy, Harold Chamberlain, and Idle Threat, Derek Wood of Langley, British Columbia. The VC driver, 454 Chevy Power.
Duel of the wheelbase right here.
Yep.
Short wheelbase versus long wheelbase. And Big Daddy's Toy sure did work his first one.
Yes, he did. And look, he gets off the line faster and down through it, no problem whatsoever. He makes it through. Big Daddy's Toy racks up another victory. Look at those tires. Look at his face sheet.
Somebody needs to tell that man about tear-offs.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
God, he's happy about that.
Well, he's
too.
underwhelmed, isn't he? Harold Chamberlain takes the victory in this round.
Well, he figures it's not one yet.
Kent, Washington. Have a look at it. Big Daddy's Toy. Look at that extended wheelbase. Another 3 or 4 feet on the front of that Jeep. Look at it flex sideways, rips out. Looks like it almost takes down a pole there. And there is Idle Threat, Derek Wood, the British Columbia driver. They build him tough up in BC. And that's no Idle Threat. Sideways, crosses through, and he's got it. Another look. Let me see what happened with Big Daddy's Toy on the left. Watch what happens on the left. It looked like he hit the pole, but I'm not sure. Yes, he did. He knocked down the pole, and that'll do it. So the Mud Bog finalists, Captain America, the machine that missed the first round, was seeded into the second round over Sand Savage. Jumpin' Jack Flash over Deja Vu. CJ5 falls to Bandit 2. And let's see what they did here. They gave Big Daddy's Toy the victory. Idle Threat second, even though he hit that finish line pole. So, don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back to the Seattle Kingdom. And this is wild and crazy. Those Ooze-O-Maniacs coming up next. This is the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Triple Crown of Motorsports from the Kingdom in Seattle. And coming up now, the final round of Mud Bog drag racing. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran, the driver, against Mike Wilkes in Captain America.
And Bob Moran is going to have his chores cut out for him to keep up with that Keith Black motor of Mike Wilkes.
Mike Wilkes out of Snoqualmie, Washington. Captain America, there it is. I Want You right there in the front. A little muddier than the last time we saw him. He won the last round. Let's see what he can do now. Captain America against Jumpin' Jack Flash. And there's Jack Flash in the far lane, Captain America in the near lane. Long wheelbase. That's worked so far for him. Let's see what happens. Whoa, he gets crossed up and off the track. And Jumpin' Jack Flash backs way off and gets through it without any problem at all. But look out! Ooh. There goes a $4,000 camera tripod. And our director, Deb Dempsey, has got to be going crazy right now. Here's Jumpin' Jack Flash. Getting sideways through the mud, looks over and sees Margot, sees Captain America out of control. He can back off a little bit and goes right on through. And the kids and the families are out here tonight in Seattle. It's a family sport, and they love it. The Seattle Kingo. Look at those kids. Let's see what happened. Margot, maybe you can figure it out.
I can't believe that his horsepower could not overcome the tracks, but unfortunately, the track took another victim.
Yep, it put him out. He got out of the groove and threw him right off into the center, and that was it for Captain America. He's out of the money. Tough break for Captain America. Another time, Jumpin' Jack Flash to the left. Captain America instantly in trouble. Margot right away gets off, tries to come out of it, tries to gas it, and just finds himself in the middle between the two lanes. So let's go now to the next lineup. Bandit 2, Dean Anderson, another Jeep. He comes up on the line, going up against Big Daddy's Toy. Big Daddy's Toy out of Kent, Washington. 35-year-old Harold Shamblin, the driver, going up against Bandit 2. Bandit 2 is out of Montana Machine. That's on the near side.
Right, and he's got paddles on all four tires, where we've got paddles and scoops on the front of Big Daddy 2.
Big Daddy 2,
Toy.
Real long, Big Daddy's Toy, real long wheelbase. Lines up in the far lane, the near lane. It is Bandit 2, and there they go. And Bandit 2, a short wheelbase, gets through the traps first. So Big Daddy's Toy falls to Bandit 2. That's a surprise. Those long wheelbase cars, if they can stay on the track, seem to be able to make it through. There's Big Daddy's Toy. He just lost. He's still overwhelmed. This guy gets really excited. Let's take another look at it. And that is Bandit 2.
Bandit 2 making a good, smooth, efficient run for the condition of the track.
Yep, it's getting very, very ruddy. And there's Big Daddy's Toy on the left, but it's Bandit 2 edging him right at the line. Right through the line first, right across the finish line. So Bandit 2 goes on to the final. Exciting mud bog competition here. And here we go with Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bob Moran again. And Jumpin' Jack Flash is going to take on Bandit 2 for the final. Here is for the money. This is the final round. They fought, scratched, climbed, rocketed through the mud. So this final, right now, here it is. Bandit 2 and Jumpin' Jack Flash. Jumpin' Jack Flash in the near lane, Bandit 2 in the far lane.
We're going to find out who's the King Oozomaniac.
Cindy Landis came up with that line. We want to give credit where credit is due. Our production director here for the show. Okay, Bandit 2 in the far lane, Jumpin' Jack Flash in the near lane. There's a close-up of Jumpin' Jack Flash rocketing off the line. Bandit 2 gets off first. If he can hold the power, he gets through it. And it is Bandit 2 taking home the bacon here at the Seattle Kingdom in the Mud Bog drag racing action. Jumpin' Jack Flash, a tough break for Bob Moran. Bandit 2 wins it. A lot of horsepower, fairly short wheelbase, a little longer than the others, gets completely sideways, but he's gone all the way through, Margot.
Struggled to keep it in the track, but did a great job.
Jumpin' Jack Flash will take home second place money tonight. Fought his way down to the final round, nothing to be ashamed of. Slow motion action, you can see how those four-wheel drive spews up the mud. Comes through here, 600-700 horsepower on some of the smaller machines. Automatic transmission. Now trying to slow it down, that's where a problem can be. Jumpin' Jack Flash finishing second. Well, the question is, can Bigfoot sweep the Triple Crown? It is coming up next, the Battle of the Monster Trucks. Welcome back to the Seattle Kingdom of the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Triple Crown of Motorsports. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman, and with me, Margot King, and we go now to the final round of monster truck competition. This is the drag race, Margot.
We've got Barefoot up against the Virginia Giant, and this is a drag race where they're going to leap over the cars, and the times are measured by when their front wheels hit the ground on the other side of the car. There's a shot of Barefoot.
When they clear the final car, and that's when the checkered flag drops. So the Virginia Giant, D.L. Wilson, the driver, a little heavier machine, a little higher machine, too, it looks like.
But these trucks are pretty equal on the horsepower, and they're both powerful machines, but the Virginia Giant does have an advantage because he's a lower truck. He's going to be able to make the best time over that car, technically, just based on his suspension.
Okay, now remember, this is a timed event, but it's the first car over the final car. They should run about 5, 6, 7 seconds. Okay, here we go. Barefoot on the outside, the far lane, and the Virginia Giant on the inside lane. Apparently, he is measuring off the distance, Margot. That's the only thing I can figure.
Just trying to decide how much gas he wants to use. You know, it's pretty critical on entering when you hit that car. If you hit it too fast, you'll get sent straight up in the air. If you hit it too slow, the competition may take you over.
And spending too much time in the air will cost you time on the ground. You can't be moving that much forward, that fast forward, if you're up in the air. Crowd here in the Seattle Kingdom, a family crowd, a lot of kids and a lot of moms and pops out here enjoying this U.S. High Rod Association action.
And they're making sure their flash bulbs are in operating order.
Here we go, Virginia Giant there in the car's second. A problem. Whoa! He stalls and Barefoot almost goes over. The Virginia Giant stopped as if he'd hit an invisible wall, and there's something wrong.
He's in pain.
He is in pain. There's something wrong with the Virginia Giant.
Something that happens that you don't think about too often. Well, here's a shot of Barefoot.
Well, Barefoot there. Oh, my goodness. He almost goes over on his head.
Having his share of problems, but not near the problems that the Virginia Giant had. Great jump. And then all of a sudden, look at the smoke, Larry. Havoc underneath the hood of the Virginia Giant.
Looked like the engine either blew or stopped instantly. And he is still up there, and he is in pain.
When these trucks stall, the steering's hydraulic. If he happens to have his hand twisted inside that steering wheel, it can twist it around a little more rapidly than your bones are able to take.
So it can actually whip the finger or the thumb if your thumbs have to be caught in there, because he looked like he was holding his hand. He's waving to the crowd. But the Virginia Giant is knocked out of competition here early.
Well, Dale is a professional, so he's going to drive his truck back to the truck, even if it hurts.
The second round, the legendary Bigfoot, Jim Kramer, and you will not find a smarter and sharper driver. Kramer knows this machine from front to rear, and he's tough. A good driver, very intelligent driver. Look at Kramer's stage. Bigfoot coming in. Now, he broke his stabilizing bar before the race, so when he was ready to race, Hot Stuff wasn't, so it's going to be a single run for Bigfoot. He'll be going for time. Whoa, and he comes down hard. And Bigfoot, no problems at all getting over those cars. Kramer looks around. No problems at all, Margot.
Looks like he's got his camera, his video camera, mounted in the passenger seat. You know, they never stop doing research and development in these trucks.
Right. Let's take another look at Bigfoot. Single run again. Remember, it's a single run. It's up in the air and launches and comes down on those cars hard. Comes way over to the side, almost goes over. He gets through. Another look. Look at the cars, how flattened they've already been on the other monster trucks. Ooh, that's got to be scary, Margot. I think you're going to. That's a long way to fall.
That's right.
And coming up now, this is Hot Stuff, the Jeep. Kind of interesting, a very short wheelbase machine. Jeff Boehner of Yakima, Washington. This is a kid who sold everything he had to buy and build this machine, to buy most of it and then build the rest of it.
And he's running up against a field tonight of veteran monster truck drivers, and he's doing a pretty good job of it.
It's an 86 Jeep CJ7 monster truck powered by a 427 Chevy engine. It is supercharged, running a turbo 400 transmission. You don't mess with clutches on these machines.
And I love his chrome wheelie bar, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Weighs 13,700 pounds. Hot Stuff. Jeff Boehner of Yakima, Washington. He does this full time. This is how he makes a living. A lot of four-wheel freaks up here in the Northwest.
Can you imagine trying to convince your mother this is what you want to do for a living?
Whoa, and look at him get up in the air, launching way, way up there and coming back down and across it. That was a very spectacular jump.
I thought he was going to lose his hood there for a minute, but it stayed on.
Hot Stuff out of Yakima, Washington. Local boy, and they love him up here in Seattle, let me tell you. I can't figure out what that green flag is on the right-hand side, and the American flag on the left-hand side. So we'll see what happens, what the clockings are. Another look at Hot Stuff. Look at the air he gets, Margot. It's like Tom Cruise.
And for such a short wheelbase, you would expect him to have more handling problems than he does.
Well, he's got a little bit of a problem there as he gets sideways right there in midair. That's going to cost him a second or a second and a half. He waves to the crowd. The crowd responds. They love him here. Yakima, Washington, right down the freeway.
Well, you can tell this is Jeep territory.
Yes, it is, indeed. Now watch what happens. Gets a good launch. A little bit of air. Still straight up. Now starting to veer a little bit off to the right. Okay, now comes back around. Gets way over to the left there, and that's where the problem occurs, Margot.
You've got to keep the thing driving straight to make the best time.
So Barefoot wins it with a 5.20 second clocking. Bigfoot is second, Hot Stuff third, and Virginia Giant, by virtue of the fact that he did not finish through the run, finishes in the last spot. So Barefoot wins round 3 here at the Seattle Kingdom. And coming up next is something you might not have seen before. The monster truck takes on the monster tank here at the Seattle Kingdom. Welcome back to the Seattle Kingdom and the Ford Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Triple Crown of Motorsports and the grand finale. Margot, that is a tank.
That is a tank truck, and that is what Bigfoot actually won the right to compete against. But Bigfoot opts not to run against the tank truck. Doesn't feel that it's fair.
So that's Barefoot Tracks. Fred Schaefer, the owner. Steve Bibbins, the driver, out of Pontoon, Illinois. It's a World War II Army tank with a Chevy pickup truck body on top going up against Barefoot. Fred Schaefer doing the driving.
Steve's been working for Fred Schaefer for 9 years, but as a mechanic, this is his first season driving. And look at him beat his boss up.
22,000 pounds in that tank, 11 tons. Outweighs the monster truck of Bigfoot. Barefoot, look, he's happy. Look at this guy. Spinning around here on the floor, and the crowd loves it. They can't believe this tank. And there's Barefoot finishing second to the monster tank. I think Bigfoot made the right decision, Margot King, by not coming out and going up against the tank.
But these vehicles are built to be spectacles. They're monster spectacles, whether
right.
they're tracks or wheels.
No question about it. The crowd loves them here at the Pontiac Kingdom. Look at that. Let's go down to the field. The bear is called Trackster. It's the mascot of Steve Bibbins and Barefoot Tracks. No problems. You just gas it and go for it in that main event.
Yeah, I don't really have to drive the truck. It just goes where it really wants. Just hit him as hard as I can.
You had a grudge match race with your boss, Fred Schaefer.
Yeah, it was boss against employee, basically. See who his truck was the fastest.
There seems to be a little bit of controversy here with the other trucks. They don't want to run against the tank.
Well, we're kind of in a different class. I can turn faster on the concrete. Don't have to worry about turning over. I don't have to worry about hitting the cars straight or anything like that, and we're a little faster.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Margot King, the Mud Bog, it was wild.
Dion had the car that was set up for this racetrack, and he flew.
So, from the Seattle Kingdom, I'm Larry Huffman, along with Margot King. For the U.S. Hot Rod Association Triple Crown of Motorsports, we hope you've enjoyed it. Margot, say goodnight.
Good night, Margot.
This U.S. Hot Rod Association event has been a presentation of SRO Pace Productions from the Seattle Kingdom.